Hi, everybody. How are you doing? Is it okay? This is Alwi again. Today, I would like to discuss about appraisal of electronic records. When we do appraisal, we are actually trying to do what? We are actually trying to determine the value of the records. Some electronic record may need to be retained by the public office permanently. These records are not of archival value and therefore cannot be transferred to the Arkib Negara Malaysia, for example. However, they must be preserved and remain accessible. So, appraisal is a key step in the process of managing electronic record after we know what record we have now or should have and to determine the length of time they need to be kept. It is actually a systematic process for determining the value of record which will ensure that you only keep the minimum number of record necessary to meet your business and legal obligation. Failure to do so will increase the cost of doing business by clogging system and hindering accessibility. Not all records are valuable forever. And in fact, most records only have value for a relatively shorter period of time. This might seem like an obvious statement, but it is extremely important for you to remember when confronted with large volume of records. How do we decide what should be kept and for how long? In this manner, archive primary concern is to establish what is of enduring or archival value, and by implication, what is not having those value through the appraisal process. The long-term or archival value of record is determined through a systematic assessment of the value of a body of record against a set of appraisal criteria. So, what is archival value? Which is defined as those values having administrative, fiscal, legal, evidential, and or informational value which justify the indefinite or permanent retention of records. When we do appraisal process within the electronic environment to the electronic or digital record, there are some additional factors which need to be considered, like accessibility of the records, manipulability, and quality as evidence. Accessibility of the electronic record has two components. It is possible to locate and retrieve the record or not. Is it feasible to access the desired record given the quality of the retrieval tools and volume of record? If the records are not accessible and their value does not warrant the cost of rendering them accessible, then they have no value at all. This occurs when electronic records have been stored in a format or by a system that is not compatible with the current system, no longer used today. If, in this manner, the absence of electronic record keeping system, the usefulness of the electronic record, and the need for the accessibility of the electronic record itself, but needed by the agency and the efficient management of record in electronic formats, there would be action need to be done to preserve those electronic records. You can do grouping files into record series. You can arrange file into a logical order. You can standardize file name if it is not done from the very beginning. It is going to be a massive and hectic work for those people. Manipulability is a major characteristic which sets electronic records apart from other records, is that they are manipulable as a group of record, as individual document, and as the element within individual record. Say, for example, the content of a database can be manipulated much more readily and in ways traditional record keeping system cannot. So, specific document can be retrieved from electronic document management system and repurposed much more easily than records in manual filing system. Meaning to say that if there is no safeguard, individual record can be altered or deleted without leaving a trace within the database record. So this create concern. That is why we need to have or to use proper electronic record management software or system to manage digital records. Third one is the quality as evidence. When approaching the appraisal of electronic system, it is important to establish whether any records are present or should be present before going further. If information stored in a system that lacks the means to determine when, how, and by whom its content were created, then the value of the content of the system as evident is jeopardized. From an archival point of view, the lack of contextual information reduces the value of the record. So, if a system is used to create a store record, but it does not fully satisfy all record keeping requirement, meaning to say that you don't use an electronic record system or you don't use electronic record software specifically to manage electronic record, then you are going to have this problem that I'm trying to tell you, which is not fulfilling record keeping requirement. So, in this manner, one must decide whether to preserve or to dispose of the record, whether the content of that particular record worth keeping it or not. There are few strategies to do this whenever we do appraisal process. First of all, which is very universal, which is very easy to do, is we decide based on the file plan structure whenever we deploy electronic record management software to be used to manage electronic records. We deploy based on the file plan structure of a particular organization transaction, function, and business operation. We already decide that this particular record A, B, C, D, for example, is having an administrative value. F, G, H, I record series is having a evidential value, for example. And those things until finished based upon the file plan structure. Through this way, the system recognize whenever the A, B, C, D file is created or record is created, then the system already tagged that this particular record is having an administrative value. And having the administrative value, the system will refer to the retention schedule of that particular record, whether to keep it for some time or whether later on need to be appraised again, to be disposed of, and so on and so forth. This is the strategy which is very easy because we don't have to do it manually. It is already embedded in the system. Another strategy which also follows the conventional approach is we have to look one by one based upon record series. This is tedious job, massive job to be done because we have to go through one by one record series to decide the value of the record. That is all for appraisal of electronic record. Thank you very much. Should you have any question, please let me know and let us discuss later on in the tutorial session. Thank you. Bye-bye.